We're at KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM, and it is raining outside. I know this is Southern California, but it is raining. Can you believe that? Nobody can. It does happen occasionally. In fact, I have heard that it actually was snowing not too far from where I am. So, actually, anything can happen in California. It's not just fires. It's not just earthquakes. We can have snow. And people can have snowball fights. We're live. This is Ask Brien radio show. And with my wonderful, amazing co-host, Alex Grossman. Are you there, Alex?
I am absolutely here, Brian Johnson, but I'm warm and cozy out of the rain and enjoying it.
But are you pumped for a real great show?
Absolutely. Always a great show.
What is this? Absolutely.
Always a great show.
Am I not motivational or what? All right, let's go back. So, for people that have not ever listened to the Ask Brien radio show, you're in for some very interesting information. First of all, Ask Brien Radio is an outtake of the Ask Brien website, and that's ASKBRIEN, and that's the only way to spell Brien. Some people spell it with an AN or YAN, but everybody knows that listens to my show, and it's not my show, it's the people's show, because we're trying to teach business to everyone. It's ASKBRIEN.com. Now, the Ask Brien website was designed to help people with business issues. So if you have a business problem, you can ask another community member, hey, I'm a dry cleaner, you're a dry cleaner, can you help me out? I've had this issue, I don't know how to deal with it. Or you may want to use an expert. Experts are people that usually have 10,000 hours in the field, or have some have won accolades and awards in other areas of business, and have some business expertise in a specific business subject. They can apply and become an expert. Experts then post webinars, post videos, post blogs, and post ebooks on the site so that people can learn any type of business subject. So one subject might be, hey, I'm in sales and marketing. I'm starting my own business. I've never done accounting. I don't even have an accountant yet. So I need to figure out how to set up my first accounting books. They may tell you to use QuickBooks or other systems. They may tell you how to find an accountant. Or you can ask a specific question to an accountant. Hey, listen, I'm just starting out. What should I do? So that's one method of where we can help. The other way is people may want to watch a webinar. Maybe they're an accountant and they've never done marketing. They can watch a webinar on how to build what's called a click funnel, basically a funnel system whereby you can find out how to get leads to start getting people to your site to create an actual live business that actually is run. Basically, rounding out the portions of the business that you don't know, Ask Brien will help you solve your business problems. And without any further ado, we have a great guest today, and I'm going to pronounce his name, and if I do, I'm hoping that I'm going to pronounce it correctly. I'm not perfect, but his name is Waleed Holti. Are you there?
I am here.
And how did I pronounce your name?
Dude, very well.
Because I didn't want to butcher
it. Like leader. You got it right.
Well, you are a leader, and you are a big-time leader in the solar energy business. But before we go any further, I want to get a little bit about your background. So, Waleed, currently you are the president of Da Vinci Energy. Before you did that, what were you doing before that, Da Vinci Energy?
I was actually had co-founded another solar company called Bright Planet Solar out in Boston, and it's now a national installation company. And before that, I was at Solar City, working there for probably a year or so before that.
So you started out your career at Solar City, and then after that you were working there. You said, you know what, this is easy stuff. I'm going to do it myself. And then you founded Bright Planet, or did you just work for somebody?
Yeah, so I wish it went that way. It was more of my mentor at the time was at Solar City. There were some issues, and he was kind of forced out of the company, and he really enticed me with the opportunity to start a company with him and a few other co-founders. And me, kind of an entrepreneur at heart, liking the risk, I took the risk with him, and the rest was history. It's kind of where I got my experience of building a company to scale in a very short period of time.
Now,
so that's how it happened.
At Solar City, what were you handling? Sales or what?
Yeah, it was sales. It was mainly sales.
And when you went to, I think we might have lost him, but I heard a gloop. When you went from Solar City to Bright Planet Solar, how many people were founders? 5? Hello?
Brien, we may have lost him.
Well, we're going to have a communication. We'll wait for him to call back.
Could be that rain in Southern California. You know, it's playing havoc a little bit with those phone lines. So hopefully he'll call right back in.
I thought the gloop was you, actually, because you've had a good record there.
Oh, thank you so very much.
I'm so encouraged. Well, until he gets back, and if he gets back in the next minute, that's fine. If not, you had a question for me. I think he's back. That doesn't sound right. Anyway.
That is really weird.
Anyway, you had
Technology is honest.
You had a question while we were waiting for him to come back. You had a question to me about, and my background as a lawyer. You had some questions for me. Do you recall those question? Are you there?
I am here.
Okay. So
Waleed, are you here?
I think we're having
Waleed.
some issues with Waleed. So until we get in touch with him, we will be going over the other part of the show, which is where you're going to ask me some questions as an attorney.
And I'd love to do that. Always have a number of questions for you. Now, a lot of people don't realize, Brien, that you are also an attorney and a well-regarded one in the Los Angeles area who gets it done. I would actually call you super at what you do.
Well, I'm actually not a super lawyer. I'm a best lawyer.
One or the other.
That's according to U.S. World and News Report. Now, anyway, you were asking me that question before we got dropped from the call. What was that question?
So we were talking about not every business in the world makes it, and we run into areas where a number of businesses can't make it, and they end up filing bankruptcy, and a lot of people have questions as to what happens if you have to take a business into bankruptcy, and how protected are you, and what do you do? And I always understand there's like a Chapter 11 and a Chapter 7, and I really never understand the difference. So maybe you could just drive me through that a little bit and drive our audience through that a little.
Well, I think Waleed has just come back on the line. Waleed, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys.
So we're going to answer that. We're going to answer that question later on, Alex. But I wrote it down, and I'm going to go over it if anything should happen, if we drop a call or anything. I'll be asking that question at that time. Otherwise, we are going to have a show within the next 2 or 3 weeks where we're going to have exclusively for an hour asking a lawyer legal business questions. That'll be coming up shortly. So, Arlene, before we left, we were talking about your first company that you were co-founder of with Bright Planet Solar. Now, how many people were involved as founders of that company?
There are about 3 to 4 people.
Now, were you handling sales and the other people handling other functions, or were you all salespeople, or what?
Yeah, so there was a CEO who had pretty good background in operations. Then a COO came in who also had a good background in operations. And my mentor at that time was really good at sales leadership and management. I came in as just a sales rep. But pretty soon, as a startup, and me being willing to learn and grow, became a sales manager and then a VP of sales. So I kind of entered the co-founder space pretty quickly.
So
I was one of the first people. Yeah.
So when that business started, you had no sales. You were just starting out from scratch from $0.
Yep.
Or were you able to bring over any clients? So you started with zero sales. What was your revenue in the first year? Do you remember?
Yeah, we did about $10 million in revenue our first 6 months of business.
You did $10 million worth of business in 6 months. How much money?
That's pretty fantastic.
That is amazing. How much money were you funded with? Do you recall?
None. No. We were lucky. We're really good at getting customers, and we were also very resourceful in the way we set up our relationships with our installers and finance companies that fund the solar projects. So we had no outside funding.
Now, how are you getting customers? I mean, obviously, if you have no money in the bank, you can't really just sit there and have a big ad campaign or anything like that. What were you doing, canvassing?
Yeah, we went door to door. That's right. Yeah, we went straight door to door. Yeah,
straight to
for dollars.
And you were saying that you're working with companies that fund this. So is the solar market one where you actually you don't really have to acquire the equipment and resell it? You work more as a broker managing someone else's solar and then doing the installation and the sales? Is that the way the business lays out?
Yeah. Usually not. No. You need licenses in order to procure, and you need financing in place, and there's all these variables. But we were creative, and we were able to leverage our relationships and our network in the industry, and so with that, we were able to get some advanced commissions once we've sold the deals, and they've once it reached a certain milestone. So that was kind of the initial funding that got the company up and running.
So you said you got $10 million in revenue in the first 6 months. So how about that first month? Do you have any recollection how much you got in that first month? Just a guesstimate. I'm not asking you for exact dollars.
It was probably a couple $100,000. We were used to getting a lot of customers at Solar City. Because Solar City was a $8 billion company, right? And we were used to high volume sales, getting a ton of customers. So entering the startup space, it was pretty easy for us to get customers. It's because that's what we were good at. Yeah.
Now we're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM on your FM dial. So after you got a couple $100,000, did you then start advertising? How long was it before you were able to start to advertise, or were you still canvassing the whole 6 months?
No, we were canvassing that whole 6 months, and beyond that we were canvassing. And then after a while, so I had left that company. There were many reasons why. A year into it, and after that the model started changing. But when I was there, what we were really good at was getting customers, going door to door, running a sales team. And we were also lucky because the market, where the market was in solar, people didn't know much about it. So the biggest variable was consumer awareness. And so for us, we saw it as our duty to go door to door through our referrals to tell customers the benefits of going solar.
Now, that company you said was in Boston?
Yeah, it's now a national company, a national installation company.
So are you originally from the Boston area then?
Yep. The City of Champions.
City of Champions. Where you park the car. Now, now, when you were out there, what were the greatest lessons you think you learned from being involved in that type of startup, where you had no revenue in the beginning, you were able to get to $10 million? What lessons did you learn, and what lessons did you learn from both success and failure? So tell me, what was the greatest success and what was the greatest failure from that business that you've learned from?
One of the things I've learned was, and I was young when I started that company with these guys. I had just turned 19.
And now you're an old guy. What, 20, 23?
24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're way old. Okay.
I feel like I'm at least 52. So one thing I've learned is that nobody's really got it figured out. Whether you're Amazon, and I love this about their mentality, how they operate, or whether you're a startup, or whether you're somewhere in between, nobody's got it figured out. Which really, for me, is there's an opportunity to always learn, and it's a belief where really anything's possible. And I know it's a cliche and overused, but nobody's got it figured out. And in this industry, where there's hundreds of billions of dollars of transactions a year, and having gone from a company that was valued at $8 billion to a company that had no money and did $10 million in 6 months, I've learned that you could use that nobody's got it figured out to your disadvantage, or use it as an opportunity to step up and provide value and solve problems. So that was one of the biggest things I've learned, and to this day, our company here at DaVinci, we maintain that rookie mindset of always getting feedback, of always figuring out what we don't know.
Is it a culture that you maintain? Is it part of your culture that you talk about rookie mindset? Define that a little bit. Is that a cultural thing?
Yeah, it's a cultural thing, because when you start getting some success, you don't want those to get to your head. At least we don't as a company. And so we're always looking for feedback. What are we doing wrong? What could we be doing better? And we get this feedback from the sources that can give us the right information. So from our customers, our employees, our partners, what are we doing poorly? What can we do more of? What are we really good at? And that kind of touches on your second question, which is what I've learned from our failures and mistakes, and that is knowing what we're really good at. So we made a mistake as a company at Bright Planet when we were building this company, back in the Stone Ages. And what I've learned was we were trying to do too much. We were trying to start doing, certain parts of the operations that we weren't good at or that we didn't have the resources to do. We started adding more capabilities. And one thing that we kind of pulled away from was our strengths. And same thing, it's a mindset thing. At Da Vinci, we always try to figure out what are we good at, what aren't we good at, and how can we complement and make up for them through our partnerships, through technology. And at Bright Planet, we were trying to do things that we weren't good at, and it eventually caused us a lot of failures, losing some key staff. And so huge learning lesson to not try to do the things that we're not good at just for the sake of making more money, getting more market share, whatever the reasons are.
Now, could that have been alleviated if you started with one product or service that you're really good at, build that, go for 2 or 3 years, and then go on to another product? Is that the lesson you think you learned from that, or is it something different?
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways. And also going back to our values and what's important to us as a company and getting really clear, what do we want to be really, really good at? Like we understood the solar industry was a gold rush. It's very lucrative, a lot of upside. And so when you look at the whole solar experience from the contracting to the installation to the financing, customer service, if we got really clear early on what we could be really good at or the best at, and doubled down there instead of trying to do everything, I think we could have had a lot more success earlier on. And we did have some success, but after that, those 6 months, things started going in a different direction.
So let me ask you a question. If you're really good at something, but you want to offer more products and services in the beginning, and you have a low staff, could you do it with partners? So could you have it like, okay, and I don't know your business well, but this is my guesstimate. So let's say you know how to sell solar, and you know how to sell the solar panels, and you can locate an installer, but you probably don't know a lot maybe about financing as a guess here, right? So, but maybe you could have a partner, a loan company that could arrange the loans, do the loans, handle that part of it, the fulfillment part, 100% on their own, and just give you a percentage. Would that have been something that you probably today, now looking back, would you have done that, or would you have said, no, I still would not have gone into that. I still would have concentrated just on my one portion?
Yeah, no, that is exactly it. Both external partners and internal. So, for example, your example is perfect. There's a region like, let's say we want to expand to the Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina region, and we know we're going to getting customers. We have the financing relationships, but we're not good at the installation down there because there's all these variables that have to do with the local geography there. So what we would do is vet out a bunch of installers, see if there's alignment in values and vision and their forecast and what they want to do, and then we align ourselves. We integrate our processes. We obviously have to put a deal together. So that's one of the ways we look at it. Another way is internal partners too. Like, for instance, customer service. I know I'm not really good at it. I'm good at a bunch of other things. So I'd rather bring in a partner or an employee that's really good at customer service to oversee our customer experience department rather than me trying to figure it out. It'll save me time. It'll save me money. But not everybody is able to do so, depending on their resources and financial capabilities. But we look at it from all different angles, from external partners and internal staff members and employees.
We have to take a break, but I'm going to ask you some questions offline right now. We'll be right back.
Your nails have amazing shine. What polish is that?
It's a gel manicure from Forever Nails and Spa.
What's a gel manicure?
It's a manicure that uses a special polish using a UV light. The polish has incredible shine and lasts for up to 14 days without chipping.
14 days? I've never heard of a polish lasting that long.
It's a great way to extend your manicure and save money on polish changes and touch-ups.
Located on the Old Road at Valencia Boulevard. Visit forevernailsandspa.com.
Join us at our 4th annual community tree lighting at the Valencia Marketplace on Thursday, December 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. The celebration will feature entertainment by choirs from area schools, Magic Castle magician Dennis Farrell. Our KHTS fire truck's going to be on scene along with Santa Claus, who's going to be available for photos and to greet children. Tree lightings at 7 p.m. and bring an unwrapped toy as we kick off our annual Share of Toy Drive. So join us December 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Valencia Marketplace on the Old Road in Stevenson Ranch.
It's time to plan our company party. Tables, chairs, lights, and a dance floor. So much to coordinate.
AV Party Rentals has everything you need for your company party. Visit their large and beautiful showroom in Newhall and discover how AV Party Rentals can create that extra accent for your company party. No worrying, no stress during setup because their delivery staff is friendly, efficient, and willing to go that extra step to make things easier. On Newhall Avenue and Carl Court, or plan your party online at avparty.com.
It's the Gilchrist Farm Holiday Hoedown, December 8th and 9th. Catch the Holiday Horse and Rider Costume Parade on Saturday at 10 a.m. Your kids can play in the festive petting zoo with goats, pigs, bunnies, ducks, and chickens. There are pony rides, caroling wagon rides, handmade holiday food, crafts, festive music, and so much more. It's holiday magic at Gilchrist Farm, just a short ride up Bouquet Canyon. The Holiday Hoedown at Gilchrist Farm, December 8th and 9th from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. Details at gilchristfarm.com.
You worry because your mom and dad aren't as active and are finding it more challenging to live on their own. The answer? Premier Assisted Living Community, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, now leasing. Located on Newhall Ranch Road, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, bringing comfort and luxury to assisted living. Your parents can enjoy 5-star amenities and panoramic views in a world-class community. No other assisted living community has this kind of luxury and amenities in our valley. Visit oakmontofsantaclarita.com.
KHTS. Now FM, 98.1 FM and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Welcome back, KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. All right, we're back. I'm not going to do any more of those voices because we've got a wonderful guest, Waleed Holte. Are you still there? Did I scare you away?
I'm here, man. You woke me up, man.
Good. So I was asking a question, and we just had to go to break. You were talking about customer service, that was not one of the main areas that you might want to concentrate on at some point, and you might want to outsource that when you were working at the company. So my question to you is, I've heard a lot that the two most important things that a company will have is their employees and their customers. And so my question to you is, do you see any downer problem by going out and outsourcing customer service? Because they are not, you are going to have a different group of people other than your employees speaking to those customers. And if the employees or anyone has a problem, that's one thing. But if you have an outsourced group that has a problem and creates a problem with the customer, that you might in fact be creating more problems than you're solving by outsourcing.
Yeah, and that's a really good question there. So I might have miscommunicated the previous question or the answer to that. We keep customer service in-house completely. That's one of the most critical things to our business model and what we're doing at DaVinci is making sure we're always serving and connected to the customer. However, we do have, and are in the process of partnering with a call center that we have an outbound one, but we're now setting an inbound one. So whenever customers have questions 24/7, they could reach out to this call center that's representing, DaVinci, our company, and always there to answer their questions, whether it's with technology or you name it. Now, it took us a long time and a lot of vetting to decide to partner with this company. So I would advise if anybody's looking at outsourcing a customer service, I would try to stay as far away from as possible from it, unless you're, where we stand is we want to provide 24/7 support, and it's very rare that we come across a company that we think can handle things the way we'd like to handle them. And so that's kind of where we are. I try to keep it as in-house as possible.
And two questions I have. One is, what internal controls do you have? But my follow-up question is, are these outsourced only available for off business hours, or are they 24/7? In other words, are you running it in-house from 8 to 5 and then you switch it off to this group, or are you actually having them run it 24/7? And then as far as the outsourcing goes, what type of internal controls do you have to make sure you don't have problems and aren't losing customers?
Yeah, so the first question is, yes, we handle it during business hours, and they'll handle it outside of business hours. Now, it'll come to a point where we're going to scale more as an organization, and we're going to be faced with the challenge, what do we do at this point? How do we continue serving our customers and making sure we're doing the right thing? So when we get to that point, we'll probably address it, but we're not there yet. Right now, I believe your other question was...
what internal controls do you have
internal control
over this outsource so that you don't have issues or problems?
So, we want to make sure both of our CRMs, where our information is aligned with one another. So at different stages of the solar experience. So, pre-contract, or when they sign a deal, when they're doing their site survey, when they're doing an engineering design, permitting, there's all these stages are obviously in our CRMs. And so we just want to make sure that there's notes properly documented, who communicates with them, all the calls are recorded. So if there are issues, we can go back to them. And obviously we do a ton of trainings beforehand and ongoing as things come up. So it's at the front of our mind. And so with that, it's, we're always addressing it. It comes in all shapes and forms.
And so one last thing, and then Alex had a couple of questions, so I don't want to take all his time. But so if you did have a customer problem, I mean, this is how I would handle it. I don't know how you would handle it. My thought pattern would be, if a customer did have a bad experience with the outsourced group, that somehow you once you found out about it, you either take a personal interest in it and potentially offer them some kind of promotion or some benefit to them to try to get them back so that they can get away from that experience, and offer them something else, as well as trying to have a personal communication with that person so that you can avoid that problem internally, and then obviously externally with the company itself, telling them that this is not how we expect responses.
So we dive in right away. So let's say there's an issue, and we get pinged about it. We dive in and we look at the recording. We figure out what the source is, and if it's not something that's been a pattern, so it's the first time it's happened, one-off, then we still address it. We talk about it. Okay, how can we prevent this? But if it's something that keeps coming up, it comes up a second or third time, then we get really serious about it. And we figure out, what do we got to do here? How do we change the system? Is it the person handling it? And so, but the principle that I want to bring up here, and this is from the founder of Angie's List. She really cares about customer reviews and talks about the judgment of a company is not based off all its good reviews. It's based off of the negative reviews and then what's done about them. And so for us, we see these problems that come up, whether with the customer or with this customer service call center, as opportunities for us to provide more value. How do we show the customer that we care? How do we go above and beyond here? Whereas if things go normal, that's, we're just doing our job, So we really want to prove ourselves when things go wrong. So we value those kind of moments.
You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Alex, you had a couple questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Wally, one thing that it really impresses me, you're a young man. You've had this entrepreneurial spirit and started and been in the founding team of a number of companies, and you've always done this in the solar space, which I think, it's a great thing when you can take what you've what you've learned and found this niche of what you're good at and really refined it to make a powerful business out of it. But my question really, I got a couple of them, but the first one is really about you had to find a niche. So you didn't go from one company to the other without going, I can do this better, or this is what's really needed in there. And so when you founded Da Vinci, you must have said to yourself, that light went on, you go, this is what Da Vinci is going to be good at. This is what customers need. And the first question is, what was that one thing that Da Vinci did that nobody else in the business could do? Let's face it, solar's a pretty, if you want to call it, competitive business that's out there. And then the second part of that is, if you found this thing, now you've been in this a while, is it still really what you need, or have you had to evolve that? You know, what we always call pivoting in the entrepreneurial space.
Yeah, great question. What I realized early on in the solar space was that there was a gold rush, or what we like to call the solar rush or sun rush. And solar is an opportunity where you're doing good for the world, and it's actually really lucrative. And so with that, a lot of companies rushed in with these grow at all costs mindsets. And so that was okay, but it cost them poor customer service. It cost them, in most cases, their own companies. And unfortunately, these old companies don't have a solid track record. A lot of them went out of business and aren't profitable. And so being in the midst of it, I realized that for the most part, like, they were trying to do good, but they just weren't. And so I realized that they weren't doing good by the customer, and I realized that there was an opportunity to actually serve and do the right thing for the customer. And I knew that would serve me, and so that's kind of how we entered the space. We said, okay, how can we make sure we're giving the customer the right product, the right financing options, the best experience, and by asking that question early on and continue to ask ourselves that question, it's led us to provide the right services for these homeowners.
So that's fantastic. And so you look at Da Vinci, and I know, you've got a mission going forward. You really are pushing. Reading your website, of course, there's cutting-edge technology and really doing the right thing for the community and for the world by putting solar out. But, if we look at your business model as it is, you had to face some challenges, even knowing exactly where you want to go. What was the biggest challenge that you faced with Da Vinci? Not across your career, but just with Da Vinci, being that this was your first one that you did on your own.
Well, early on, what I had was, they call it $1 to dream. I had a really big dream, a big vision for what I thought was possible.
And Alex, you there?
I am absolutely here.
Okay, so
I think
now
we lost Waleed again.
While we wait for that question, for him to return, I'm going to try to answer your question. I may have to stop though if he comes back on right away. But your question was revolving, if a business does have a problem and they do have to file bankruptcy, you'd like a little bit more information about that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So businesses there's three different types of bankruptcy, two mainly for business. You can go what's called Chapter 11, which is called a reorganization. That means that a business is going to reorganize its debts. And we're right back with Waleed, so you have to wait for that. Everyone's going to have to wait for my answers, but that's okay. So
I
Alex,
think it's these AirPods. These AirPods. I don't know if you guys have AirPods, but they keep hanging up on you guys. So I'm sorry.
Well, I would definitely
sorry about that.
Blame my co-host for his background, but and I'll tell you that
Not
later.
my product.
It's an inside joke. But Alex or Waleed, do you remember the question?
Yeah. So the problem, and for us, it was I dream pretty big dreams, and my limitation of what I think is possible, like, there's no limitation. And so early on, I would approach partners and potential partners and say, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's what I've done already. So I had a track record to help. But despite that, it was really hard to get influential, strategic people involved or enrolled in the idea early on. And so for me, it was, how do I do this by myself, or how can I be resourceful with the partners I do have access to? And so now, we're in a place where people are coming to us. We're not so limited by just a big vision. We actually have more proof of what we can do as a company. So that's changed, but it was a limitation early on. It was really hard to get the right people involved, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot of things, and I had to play roles that I didn't want to play, but I did and figured it out.
I think that's really the entrepreneurial spirit. That's what it takes. That's what it takes to be an entrepreneur, right? Take the good with the bad, you take the hard with the easy, and you turn it into a success.
That's right. Yep. And I'm super grateful for it.
So when you have, so you came from a sales background. You were with this company, Bright Planet, and you're starting your own company, Da Vinci Energy. Now, you started that on your own, correct?
Yeah.
So you had a sales background. You knew how to sell, okay? But selling is only part of it. You still have to do what we call the fulfillment part and the customer satisfaction part and keeping everything going on that angle. So how did you compensate for the lack of knowledge beyond sales when you started out your company in the beginning?
So I had most of my skill sets were sales, but at that point I had already helped co-found the Bright Planet, and so I'd learned a lot in the short time that I was there. But the real answer is I was working over 100 hours a week. So I was just committed to figuring it out at all costs. And there's a quote, you make up what you lack in skill and numbers. And so for me, those numbers were staying up and doing the research, connecting with the people, asking the right questions, asking for help. And if you do that enough times, the right people will help you out.
Yeah, that's another guarantee when you're an entrepreneur, is that you're going to work harder. And, people always tell us to work smarter, but my goal has always been you work as hard as you can until you learn to work smart. So I think that's not uncommon.
That's exactly it. Yep, that's right. And
then we talk about, creating a culture and hiring people when you started Da Vinci. In the beginning, you don't have a lot. Typically, you don't have a lot of revenue coming in, or maybe you waited long enough before you hired your first person. But many businesses do not have the financial resources in the beginning to even hire that first or second employee, and so then typically, I see a lot of people come down to the point where I need to bring somebody on board, but I'm concerned about my finances, so they typically try to hire somebody that's semi-qualified but at a good price. So how do you avoid that and get the high qualified people that that probably want more money than you can afford?
Yeah, well, I have encountered that problem countless times where you just got to be resourceful and get the people that you can get, and understanding that the people that you have now will get you to maybe have gotten you where you are, but will not get you to where you want to go. And so being clear about that with your people and with yourself, it won't be as hard to let people go and as you outgrow people, which will happen if you have big goals as a company. So that's one of the things, but I would advise anybody that is going through this to get really clear about their vision. So if your company were to be exactly what you envision it to be, what would you be doing? What kind of feelings would you emit? What would the financials look like? How many people would you have? Just getting crystal clear about everything and everything about the company. And once you're crystal clear, then that vision is important. So when you're communicating with others, even if they're quote unquote out of your league, they'll feel compelled by that. And if you can't give them, if you don't have the cash to give them that day, then maybe you just get creative and you set up a certain deal where you give them a little bit of equity, or you just got to you get resourceful and be creative, and one should not feel limited by their financial capabilities, especially being a startup.
I would also think in that equation you would also want to add in training. To the extent you can have any type of training programs where employees are teaching other employees, or even going to websites such as AskBrien.com or other places where people can learn and get information about different subjects in different areas to help them improve. That would also be another factor that I would think a company that's just beginning would want to do. Do you agree?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, yeah. We record our weekly trainings and have standardized. We have Da Vinci University, so we have standardized trainings for most departments in our company that require it, and so that's huge. Yeah, it's a way to invest in your people and their future.
So we've got about another 45 seconds before we got to take our break. Alex, you had that quick question you were going to ask?
I think we have to wait. I can't do it really in 45 seconds there, Brian.
All right, so we're going to take an early break, and we'll be right back. You'll get an extra 45 seconds at the end. I know everybody's salivating for that 45 seconds. All right, we'll be right back.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch. Full menu and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
Mission Valley Bank puts the community in community banking. They strive to be your most trusted bank. Mission Valley Bank is happy to sponsor KHTS Holiday Music. Happy holidays!
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
This Christmas, join us for the ultimate holiday concert, A Very Merry Christmas with the Letterman, Sunday, December 9th, 5 p.m. at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. The legendary Letterman here in Santa Clarita singing your favorite holiday classics. Joining them is Santa Clarita's singing sensation, Savannah Burrows, along with our very own West Ranch High School choir. You'll also hear the Letterman perform their string of top 10 hits.
It's so bad.
A Very Merry Christmas with the Letterman.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
The Letterman, Savannah Burrows, and West Ranch Choir, Sunday, December 9th. For tickets, visit canyonspack.com.
Merry Christmas.
Santa Clarita's hometown station. Hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Welcome back, KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. With my co-host, Alex Grossman, and my guest, Waleed Holton. Waleed, you there?
I'm here.
Alex has been salivating for the last 2.5 minutes because he's got this wonderful, amazing, great question, and he couldn't even ask it before the break because he knew it was going to take so long to answer. Alex, you are on the spot. Go.
I am going to go. So, Waleed, one of the things we always ask, and this is something that we find with all small business and entrepreneurs that we always have, we're always trying to help them out and say, we have Facebook advertisers that we talk to. We have people who can get you more followers on Twitter. We have people who are experts in websites. And I always like to ask a successful entrepreneur, what tools and what marketing pieces have you used that have brought you to this level of success? I know you said when you guys first started, you were dialing for dollars. You were out there, building leads and getting leads. But eventually, you're knocking on doors. I mean, is that where it is? Is it 100% that, or what is the special magic you're using in the solar business to go out and get customers?
Yeah. So one thing I've learned is if it's all about the technology and the tools that are going to get you there, it's really not going to work. It's all about the people, like you said, Brien, the employees and the customers, and then the technology comes after. And so, we have a ton of tools and technology that makes us faster, more connected, have more access from employees and for our customers. So some we've developed ourselves. Others, we're leveraging other partners. We obviously use communication channels to Slack to integrate with our platform. So anytime there's job updates, they're on there. We use Asana for projects and to-dos. Everything runs on Salesforce because we have a ton of partners, installers, and they each have their own processes and whatnot. And usually the common denominator is Salesforce. And so, we build on top of it. It's how we communicate with our partners on the back end. And we have design tools. So anyone in solar knows Aurora, so we use that for design tool for accuracy. And then for our marketing, there's no CRM out there better than HubSpot. So we use HubSpot for all of our digital and direct-to-consumer marketing.
So it sounds like efficiency is really what you guys do best from that perspective. Sounds like you've tied in with all your partners, you've tied in with all your customers, you've got the tools and the efficiency from a methodology standpoint to just keep you efficient in everything you do out there. And so it really is a matter of just the number of ups or the number of deals you get, right?
Yeah, there's an amazing book by Bill Gates, Business at the Speed of Thought. And what it talks about is you need to be able to operate with a snap of a finger. At the speed of thought, you need to be able to communicate problems, opportunities with your team. And so that goes for the whole business. And so I can guarantee you, and this applies to us, if most of us look at our business, there's sometimes lags. We're not moving quickly enough, and we're losing out on an opportunity to create value and to be there for our people and our customers. So we're always looking at that. It's a big part of who we are. So
how do you get those? How do you get those people? Because you're saying that people is the most important part, that the tools and everything else have value, but it's the people. Well, how are you going to get the people when you're a no-brand startup that has little money?
How are you going to get the people? If you go into business, you're going to have to provide some sort of service and value. And so I just think when you're prioritizing it, the people have to come first before the technology. And obviously before all of that, there has to be an idea, a vision of, how can you, whatever market you're in, industry you're in, you have to, the idea is, I could do this better, I could do this faster, more efficiently. And if you have that belief, you usually have to find somebody else to help you build it. So not that the technology is not important. I just think it's the people, and without the people, what would the technology is going to serve no purpose?
No, I actually agree 100% with you. My question was, how do you get those people? Because, if you're not offering, as we said, I asked this question earlier, you're not offering $200,000 a year salary. You're not offering even, whatever your salary and benefit package is. You're not beating Solar City, I'm going to guess, or those other companies. And you need to find these highly qualified, good people that want to be working for a startup, which is a small company that you don't even know if it's going to be successful or not. How do you get those first people to buy in?
Yeah. So we're not going through that now. I mean, we can fund the salaries and offer the incentives to get people on, but we were there, and the way to get them, obviously you have to shout and let people know what you're looking for. So, you start with friends and family members saying, hey, here's what I want to do. Come join me. Would you join me? And then you start working on it and, with the people you do have, and then that gets you to a certain point, and now you got to realize, okay, I got to get more people, better people, and usually at that point in time, let's say that's 6 months into the business, then you have more resources. Let's say you made a little bit of money, or you have a little bit better technology. Then you have to then you shout some more, saying, "Hey, we're looking for people," and you market everywhere to be heard, and then you play with the toys that you do have, the resources you do have, and those get you to another point. And and then you kind of just decide where you want to stop. How big do you want to go? When are you going to give up? And that's how we do it.
I think that's a great answer, and I think that's how people become successful. You have to start with your inner group, the closest group, and you keep on building and building. That's how you build a list. You do the same thing. You have to start with the people that you're connected to now, kind of that first level, and then hopefully maybe they have a friend who's a second level, third level that can actually help you out and buy into the system. I think that's an excellent.
We used to have a saying at that fruit company that I worked for that said, A players hire A players, B players hire C players, and C players to your company. So getting the right people in and getting them to hire the right people is really the key to growing the company and making it number one.
And I hate to do that to everybody. Maybe we'll have you on a different time. We got to close it up. KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM on the Ask Brien radio show.
Linda and